So I'm not here to bum anybody out or anything like that, so don't think this is where this is headed, but it is kind of a scary moment for me and my life. But I told you guys, I brought this up on the air, I think twice now, because the day before I got on the bus to go to Phoenix, it was a Wednesday night, so I was leaving Thursday night. Wednesday night, I am watching TV, and I will never forget this. I was watching the finale of Atlanta, the series finale.
Looking for thick Judge Judy.
Exactly. And I finished watching it, and I was watching it on my computer because kids, wife were asleep. I didn't want to make any noise or anything, and so I had my my headphones in and finished the show, took the headphones out, and stood up, and I was like, man, my left ear feels really weird. Not pain, but it felt full. It felt like waterlogged or something like that, which everybody's experienced that before. And there was a little bit of ringing in the ear, and I'm like, okay, well, whatever, go to bed. So I'll be fine in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I wake up the next morning, and it's the same thing. And I'm like, God, this is so weird. And so I was leaving that day to go to Phoenix, obviously, and I didn't have time to go to a doctor, and my entire world was consumed by the bus anyway. That's all I was thinking about, and I'm like, my ear can wait. And so went through the week at the Super Bowl, and my hearing was so weird. And in my left ear, not my right ear, just in my left ear. Everything, the best way to describe it is it felt like a busted speaker. Everything was coming through a busted speaker. It was tinty. When we were at the Super Bowl media function with the players, the teams,
yes,
the sounds, I can't even describe to you how weird it was walking around that arena and hearing the different sounds from different places.
There was such noise pollution as it was.
Yeah, and it coming into that left ear, I mean, it was crazy. So I didn't say much about it. Like, it's not a pain thing. It was just a very awkward time. And so came back from the Super Bowl and had scheduled an appointment at the McLean Hearing Center, and they tested my hearing, and they were hoping that it was just something like wax buildup in my ear.
Right.
And she was like, this is probably what it is. Don't worry about it. And it wasn't that. And so I took a hearing test, and my left ear was decidedly, obviously, and I knew this, was not hearing near as well as my right ear. And so she goes, you need to go see ear, nose, and throat doctor. I was like, okay, all right, cool. So I think at that point I told the story on the air about just how weird it was that I'd lost hearing. Mm-hmm. And she said it's probably something called sudden hearing loss, which is treatable. And so I go to the ear, nose, and throat doctor, and they tell me basically the same thing, that what you're experiencing happens to people in their 40s and 50s, and we call it sudden hearing loss. And it's treatable with steroids, a shot in the ear, which I told you guys about, 3 rounds of shots right in the eardrum over the course of 3 weeks, coupled with a rigorous steroid diet of prednisone, I believe is what I've been taking. And so I have the first round of shots, and it's incredibly awkward, and I hated every second of it.
Right. As one would expect,
in
by
your
the way.
ear.
Yeah.
And it's really, really weird. And in the meantime, he said, look, you need to go get an MRI, though, just in case something is causing this that is not what sudden hearing loss is all about. I was
an earwig that actually burrowed into your brain.
Exactly. And so I'm like, okay. He goes, look, it's incredibly rare that it is something that they find something on your brain, but you want the peace of mind, right?
Sure.
And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, some people try to weasel out of the MRI. I'm like, well, no, I don't want to weasel out of it. Let's do it. And so on Tuesday, 2 days ahead of my second round of shots, I go get the MRI, which I told you guys about. Very awkward being in that tube for X amount of time.
Like 45 minutes, right?
Yeah. It was weird. But I didn't think anything of it. I just thought it was procedural, right? Like, just thought it was that's just, okay, do this, get that cleared, and then go on with my treatment. So that was Tuesday, and yesterday at about, I don't even know what time it was, 10 o'clock or so, I get a phone call. And it was from my doctor at Medical City, and I was like, hello? And he goes, Corby? Yeah, and he goes, this is Dr. So-and-so. And I go, hey, Doc, how are you? And he goes, and right then I knew. Right then, because,
yeah,
you know, and he goes, we found a tumor. So before he could even finish the word tumor, though, he was very quick to say that it is benign. It is non-cancerous.
How can they tell from an MRI?
Because specifically what this is, it is called an acoustic neuroma, and they're all non-cancerous. And it is a tumor that has developed along the nerve that connects your ear to your brain. And what it does is about 5% of people that have these have like sudden, like boom, it just hit. Because for me, there was not 1 second of my life where I thought my hearing is going
it wasn't
bad.
Fading. It was instant.
No, it was literally within seconds. And so that's incredibly rare. So they're slow growing tumors. And, you know, the fact that you have to use the word tumor is the worst part of it because it's a tumor and there's no way around that. And it's not a good thing. I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it like it's, hey, kick ass, I got a tumor. So it forms on these nerves, and what it does is it forms on the branch that, you know, affects your hearing.
It's pirating your ear hole.
It kind of is, yeah. And it also sits on your balance nerve.
Yes.
And so this is where things get dodgy.
That's why your putting has been off lately?
Yeah, I'm like, God, my handicap's gone up like 0.4 strokes. And so, you know, I've not had any vertigo. I've not had any balance issues since all this has come down here in the last couple of weeks. And really, I think I would know more of that than I would hearing over the last, let's say, 3 years.
Yeah.
And I asked the doctor, I go, so when do these form? Has this been growing since I was 12? And he's like, no, these start to form when you're an adult. And so probably over the last 4 years, you've started to develop this, and it finally manifested itself to the point where you are now. And it's about the size of, you know, 4 millimeters of an eraser, a pencil eraser, something like that.
Uh-huh.
And yes, they grow. And that's when they become a bigger problem, is when they start to expand and when they start to really press on your balance nerve. You know, your hearing gets worse, and it could affect facial, you know, simple things like opening your mouth and closing your eyes.
Like maybe stroke out the side of your face.
Yeah, completely. That's very rare, though, that they get to that point. And before it would ever get to that point, you can have it removed.
But you're feeding it steroids.
Well,
so it's like the little flea on
so it's like all pumped up.
Really, yeah.
Is your head gonna explode?
I have ended the steroid regimen because I can't handle the side effects of the steroids, and I've decided that being partially deaf in my left ear and having a tumor in my head, I will take that over the side effects of the steroids. But
jeez, bro.
Yeah. So
they're gonna have to crack open your skull to get at this thing?
Okay. So the first question, of course, that I asked was, do I need this thing out of my head? And he told me, no, you're in the monitoring phase where you're going to come in once every 6 months. We're going to do an MRI. We're going to see if this thing is growing, and maybe I'll be lucky and it never, ever grows at all, which happens. That's you know, part of these acoustic neuromas is sometimes they don't get any bigger. You're not affected by it except for your hearing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why wouldn't I have it removed? Just get it out of there. It's about a 6 to 12 hour surgery to get these things out of there. You go straight through the ear. At least in my case, sometimes they go behind the ear and they, you know, pop open your head and cranium and all that good stuff. I don't think I would be in that situation right now. But they go through there, they pop it out. And if they do that, though, there's a 50-50 chance that you lose hearing completely.
Okay. Yeah. That was going to be my question is,
yes.
If you get it removed, does it restore your hearing?
No, it doesn't. And there's a 50-50 shot you lose it for good. And I have what he calls salvageable hearing enough to where it's useful. And it is, you know, I'm not completely deaf on this side. It's just everything is really weird. Really, really weird. Like the other night, Dave, when we were out, and I was telling you this in the car when we were on the way to Fort Worth, but when we were out after ticket stock, we were sitting by Donovan and his wife Twiggy, and Twiggy was telling me a story, and it was like the Peanuts teacher.
Yeah.
And I got to get used to this because it happened the first time that I was telling Lino this last night. The first time that I actually used it as an excuse, my wife was talking to me, not an excuse, but she was talking to me. She was 2 seats down at the movie theater on my left side. And something happened in the movie, and she's like, oh, you know that actor from blah, blah, blah. I didn't know what she said. I could not understand one word that came out of her mouth. And I looked at her funny, and she repeated it, and it was again like, wah, 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 wah. And I pointed to my ear. I'm like, kind of shrugged my shoulders. Like,
sorry.
I can't.
What? You can keep using that excuse now.
Yeah,
oh,
of
sorry,
course.
I'm going to play golf. I didn't hear you earlier.
I didn't hear a word you said all day. So it's it sucks, man. It's Matt Stafford's wife had this. So you remember when Matt Stafford's wife underwent air quote brain surgery?
Right.
This is that.
It is?
This is exactly that.
Oh my goodness, man.
Yeah. And so hers was a lot worse. And I've talked to a couple of P1s, one in particular. Shout out to Karen, who's, when I first mentioned this, she goes, I don't want to freak you out, but you may have this. This is when I just said I lost my hearing.
And she was right.
And she goes, if you hear the term acoustic neuroma, don't freak out. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Later.
I'm going to live forever.
I'm never going to die.
And so
wow.
I've been in contact with her, and she's really helped out a lot because I have a trillion questions.
Like, what does widespread sound like to you now?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm going to a concert tomorrow night, and I don't even know what to expect. It's so sad, yeah.
Did you suggest to the doctor the Wrath of Khan idea in any way?
I left out the earwig.
To maybe try to put a space centipede into your ear to fix this.
Can you breed an earwig that feasts on
this goes in
neuroma
there,
tumors?
Eats the neuroma and then comes right back out with a badass
well, he's
bug.
He's
that would
trainable.
be.
Wiping
He's
his mouth like, now to deliver.
He's very obedient.
Now he's got the little handkerchief and fork and knife and all that. Now here is
a bib with a tumor on it.
Here's the rub on this. Not only is it 100% every single second of my day now, I have that feeling of full waterlogged ear.
Oh, man.
I have tinnitus, which is a very, very, very loud ringing in my ear. At all times.
Oh, boy.
It never goes away, and it never will.
So in like 5 years, you're going to be walking around downtown talking to yourself, is what we're to expect.
It's crazy how your brain adjusts to these things.
Yeah,
like
for sure.
Just anything in life. If you lost a hand, how you would start to adjust. I was shocked at how fast. Sorry, Justin. I was shocked at how fast I would forget about the ringing. Now, if you mention ringing, then I'm thinking about it, and that's all I'll think about for a little bit. But then it goes away, and you move on to something else. When I go to bed at night, it's very weird. Like you sit there and you're like, okay, my ear is ringing, and it's still ringing, and I'm sitting here in my own thoughts, and I can't get rid of it. So,
and the steroids are keeping you up.
Yeah.
You just want to lift.
Yeah. Can I go to the gym, babe? I gotta go to the gym. So look, the bottom line is I'm okay. Everything's fine. If it starts to grow and starts to get out of control, and then yes, I will have it removed, and then I'll go from there. You'll go down that road. But in the meantime, it is MRIs a couple of times a year, probably meet with my ENT handful of times a year and just keep monitoring it. And that's really all you can do. And yeah, I think I could be super aggressive about it and go in there and just have it taken out. But I also don't want to lose whatever hearing I have left.
Right.
Right? I mean, it is weird.
Yeah.
The ringing in the ear is weird, but I'm imagining it's like losing your sight where you want to keep it. No matter how small it is and how fuzzy it is.
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, you want to keep it.
Did the doctor advise no more bus trips?
No.
You don't have a doctor's note for that?
That'd be really funny. Sorry, guys, I can't get back on the bus. So there are no really serious complications from this outside of the balance thing, and I guarantee you, the first time that happens, I'm rushing to the doctor to get that thing blown right out of my head.
No doubt.
Because I can't handle...
I have a doubles final on Sunday!
Yeah.
Vertigo. Like, vertigo freaks me out.
It should.
It's
Like-
the worst.
Yeah.
You've had it?
Yeah, with the earwax buildup, it's terrible.
Yeah. I want no part of that. So, I think that medicine in general has come a long way when it comes to these acoustic neuromas in the last 15 or 20 years, like anything else, probably. I don't think they were diagnosed properly for a long, long time, but that's what I have. That was the reason that I lost my hearing, and here we are.
Once again, nobody has more going on than the snake.
I swear, it's crazy how many things you deal with.
It's all good though, man.
Yeah, no, it is.
My life is great.
You have a rosy disposition despite it, but you are a busy man with a lot on your plate.
Yeah,
and we are pulling for you.
Thank you.
Until you try to move up a tee box, because I'm going to need a note from your doctor on that one.
Yeah,
but no, doggone, man. Let's keep this in check.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Corby.
Yeah, and for people, because it'll happen to someone out there. This is going to happen to somebody out there listening, and just like, Karen reached out to me, hopefully I'll be this guy that has some sort of handle on it and knows what route to at least start to go down in case somebody has it as well. So that's kind of why I told the story, not to freak anybody out, nothing like that. I just wanted it out there. I'd already told the first couple of legs of it, and so this is the finality of it. And acoustic neuroma, if you want to look it up, that is what I have.
Okay, man. Well, in the most awkward transition in radio history, let's talk Cocaine Bear next.
Let's talk Cocaine Bear, and let us play for you the most awkward, shocking trailer that Mino and I have ever seen. Next.
Ticket.
All right. Well, on that medical front, let's go to another. QC Kinetics. If you do have any sort of knee pain...